Welcome back to the channel, coin collectors and treasure hunters, where today we're diving into one of the most fascinating stories in American numismatics, a tale that proves how even the smallest pieces of metal can carry the weight of history and the promise of fortune. Yes, we're talking about the incredibly rare and shockingly valuable 1974 D Lincoln 1-cent coin, a penny that, under the right circumstances, has been valued at up to $28,000 due to its extraordinary combination of errors, production oddities, and numismatic mystique that has captivated collectors and experts alike for decades. And if you've ever wondered how a single copper-colored coin, something you might easily overlook in your change jar or beneath the cushions of your couch, could be worth more than a brand new car or even a college tuition payment, then you're in for a truly eye-opening experience, because the 1974 D penny is no ordinary cent, and its story begins in the turbulent economic atmosphere of the early 1970s when inflation was rising, the price of copper was skyrocketing, and the United States Mint was under increasing pressure to reduce the cost of producing the humble penny, which had long been composed primarily of copper. So in 1973 and 1974, the Mint began experimenting with alternative materials, specifically aluminum, to see if a cheaper alternative could be introduced for mass circulation. And while several aluminum test coins were struck in Philadelphia in 1974, what makes the 1974 D penny so special is the fact that Denver was not authorized to strike any aluminum cents, yet somehow, one or possibly more aluminum cents bearing the Denver Mint mark were produced, which should never have happened, making this error not just a minting mistake but a breach of federal policy. And this is precisely what makes the 1974 D aluminum cent a legendary error coin. Because although official records and mint statements indicate that all test pieces were supposed to be destroyed, a few managed to slip out into the wild, and among them, the 1974 D aluminum cent became the stuff of myths and legal battles, as the government considered all examples of this coin to be unauthorized property and subject to seizure, which only added to its allure. Because when a coin is both illegal to own and worth tens of thousands of dollars, it captures the imagination like few other collectibles can. And it wasn't just the material that made it special. The 1974 D cent also represents a series of anomalies and mysteries that deepen its value, such as questions about how it was produced, who allowed it to leave the mint, and how it avoided detection for so long. And some experts believe that a rogue mint employee may have struck the coins intentionally and smuggled them out, while others think it could have been part of an unsanctioned test batch accidentally distributed. But whatever the origin, the fact remains that this is a coin that should not exist, and that alone places it in the upper echelon of numismatic rarities. But wait, there's more to the 1974 D penny than just the aluminum anomaly, because even among regular copper 1974 D cents, collectors have identified a number of valuable die varieties, striking errors, and planchet defects that have driven up demand and prices in the market, including doubled dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and broad strikes, each of which can contribute significantly to the coin's value when found in uncirculated or near-perfect condition. And since the Denver Mint was responsible for striking over 4 billion pennies in 1974, the sheer volume of production allowed for the possibility of a wide range of quality control issues, meaning that sharp-eyed collectors who carefully inspect their coins with magnification and patience can sometimes uncover hidden gems that others have overlooked. And what makes this hunt so rewarding is that some of these errors, especially dramatic double dies or large off-center strikes, are not only rare but extremely collectible, fetching hundreds or even thousands of dollars on the open market. But to return to the centerpiece of the 1974 D penny saga, the aluminum specimen, it's important to understand just how unique and controversial this coin truly is, because after years of speculation, one known example surfaced in the hands of a former Mint employee's family, and when they attempted to auction it in 2014, the U.S. government intervened, claiming that the coin was federal property never intended for circulation, leading to a legal standoff over whether such a coin could be privately owned. And though the case was eventually dropped and the coin returned, the resulting publicity only heightened interest and speculation about how many of these coins might still exist. hidden away in drawers, collections, or forgotten containers. And with estimates ranging from one to a handful, their scarcity is beyond extreme, making them a numismatic holy grail that continues to baffle and entice collectors. And in today's market, where rare coins are setting new records at auction and private sales, the possibility of a 1974D aluminum cent surfacing again sends ripples through the hobby, as collectors, dealers, and institutions eagerly await any confirmed appearance of this enigmatic coin. And it's not just about the money. Though the value is undeniably eye-popping, the 1974D penny represents a tangible connection to a moment in American history, a time of economic uncertainty, technological experimentation, and bureaucratic oversight, and holding such a coin in your hand, assuming you ever got the chance, would be like holding a forbidden artifact, a relic from a parallel timeline where the U.S. Mint made different decisions and perhaps changed the course of coinage history. And even though the vast majority of 1974D cents you'll encounter are worth only face value, the story surrounding them has led to renewed interest in examining every detail, every variation, every imperfection, because the next incredible discovery could be hiding in plain sight, and whether it's a valuable error coin with a dramatic misstrike, a doubled die, a rare transitional composition, or the ultra-rare aluminum cent itself, the thrill of the hunt is what keeps collectors searching, learning, and sharing their finds with others. And as long as this coin continues to defy explanation and legal clarity, its legend will grow. And so will the prices collectors are willing to pay for a chance to own a piece of the mystery, which is why the 1974D penny, humble in size but monumental in intrigue, continues to fascinate and surprise, proving once again that sometimes the smallest objects hold the biggest stories, and that history, value, and curiosity can combine to transform an everyday coin into a priceless treasure. And if you're lucky enough to come across a 1974D cent that looks or feels unusual, don't ignore it. Take a closer look, consult an expert, have it graded, because you might just be holding one of the rarest and most valuable cents in American history. And whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a curious beginner, let this be a reminder that treasures are still out there, waiting to be discovered, even in the most ordinary of places. And as always, thank you for joining us on this journey into the incredible world of coins. Stay curious, stay observant, and who knows, maybe your next penny will be the one that changes everything. And speaking of valuable pennies that have shocked collectors with their unexpected worth, let's move on to another standout in the world of numismatics that has made headlines and turned heads at coin shows and auctions alike. The remarkable 1986 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that under the right circumstances has been valued at up to $17,000. Not because of its metal composition like the controversial 1974D aluminum cent, but due to a fascinating mix of striking errors, minting anomalies, and condition rarity that make it one of the most surprising modern U.S. coins to reach five-figure territory. And while at first glance the 1986 penny may seem like an unassuming copper-plated zinc coin from the Lincoln Memorial reverse era, what lies beneath the surface, literally and figuratively, are mistakes and irregularities that catapult this otherwise common cent into the numismatic spotlight. Because unlike earlier wheat pennies or experimental coins, the 1986 Lincoln cent was struck well into the era of mass-produced, cost-reduced coinage, following the 1982 switch from copper to zinc cores, which makes the discovery of high-value examples all the more astonishing since the mint had already optimized its production process to limit such costly mistakes. And yet, as history and countless examples prove, perfection in minting is elusive. And human error combined with mechanical imperfections continues to slip through the cracks even in modern times, with the 1986 1-cent serving as a prime case study, where its most valuable variants are the result of dramatic and eye-catching errors such as doubled dies, where the image on the die is misaligned during the hubbing process, causing a doubled appearance of letters, numbers, or design features especially visible in the motto, "In God We Trust," the word "Liberty," or the date itself, and some of these doubled die obverse specimens have sold for several $1,000s when verified and authenticated by third-party grading companies, particularly when they are found in pristine mint state red condition, A rarity considering how easily zinc-based cents corrode or tone over time. And that's not the only anomaly pushing the 1986 penny into the big leagues, because off-center strikes are another highly desirable error, especially when the coin is misaligned by 50% or more but still retains the full date. A crucial feature for identification and value, and in such instances, these dramatic misstruck coins can fetch well over $1,000 on their own, with especially rare examples known to reach several thousand depending on the severity of the error and overall eye appeal. And then there are the transitional errors, a particularly fascinating category where planchets meant for a previous or different year's composition or size are mistakenly used. And while transitional errors are more famously associated with 1982 cents, when the mint switched compositions mid-year, the possibility of leftover copper planchets being used accidentally in later years cannot be entirely ruled out, especially given the massive quantities the mint handles, and if a 1986 penny were to be discovered struck on a leftover 95% copper planchet instead of the intended zinc one, that could drastically increase its value among specialists looking for rare off-metal strikes. Not to mention the countless minor but collectible errors that occur during the minting process, such as die cracks, cuds, broad strikes, bonded coins, and multiple strikes, all of which have been observed across modern coinage including 1986 cents, and when found in particularly extreme or cleanly defined forms, these errors often command prices well beyond what casual collectors might expect, especially when graded by trusted authorities like PCGS or NGC. Which also brings us to another major factor in the high valuation of some 1986 cents, the condition and grading itself, because in the world of numismatics, condition is king, and even a common date coin can skyrocket in value if it is found in exceptional condition, and with the 1986 cent being a zinc-based coin prone to corrosion, spotting, and toning, examples that survive in high-grade mint state red condition are exceedingly difficult to come by, especially in grades MS68 or higher, and when one of these coins is certified at such a lofty level by a major grading service. The population rarity can drive prices into the thousands, as registry set collectors scramble to acquire the finest known examples to complete their competitive sets, which adds another layer of demand and value that's often invisible to newcomers in the hobby. So when you hear about a 1986 penny selling for $17,000, it's often a perfect storm of attributes: major error, extreme condition, registry set demand, and possibly even provenance or auction pressure, all combining to make one coin stand out from the billions produced. And just like with the 1974D aluminum cent, the key takeaway here is not that every 1986 penny is worth a fortune, but rather that among the oceans of ordinary cents, there exist rare islands of value that defy the odds and reward those who take the time to look closer, study the details, and understand what to look for. And with the growing interest in coin collecting driven by social media, educational content, and online marketplaces, it's never been a better time to examine your change, revisit your childhood coin jars, or start that collection you've always been curious about, because the next six-figure cent could be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone like you to discover it. And whether it's a double die, off-metal strike, misaligned planchet, or simply a nearly perfect coin untouched by the passage of time, the 1986 1 cent reminds us that even modern coins can carry extraordinary stories and unexpected wealth. And as always, we encourage you to stay curious, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of a single penny to change your understanding of value, history, and the hidden world beneath everyday objects. So be sure to keep checking your pocket change, your rolls from the bank, your inherited coin boxes, and maybe even those forgotten containers in the attic or garage, because in the world of numismatics, every coin has a story, and some stories are worth tens of thousands of dollars. And now let's keep the momentum going as we turn our attention to yet another astonishing entry in the Lincoln Cent series that proves lightning can strike more than once when it comes to rare and highly valuable pennies from the modern era. This time, we're diving deep into the 1987D Lincoln 1 cent coin, a Denver minted penny that, under the right combination of conditions, rare errors, and near perfect preservation, has been known to fetch jaw-dropping prices up to $15,000, and while to most people the 1987 penny might look like just another ordinary coin from a pocket full of change, to seasoned collectors and era coin enthusiasts, it represents a potential goldmine of overlooked opportunities, because once again, it's not just about what the coin is supposed to be, it's about what went wrong during its creation, and how those mistakes, however rare, can lead to truly extraordinary values. So let's break down the reasons why this humble 1987 penny has made such an impact in the world of high-end numismatics, starting with the undeniable fact that era coins from the Denver Mint are always of particular interest to collectors due to their unique production characteristics and distinct mint mark, and in the case of the 1987 penny, one of the most exciting and valuable era types to look for is a major doubled die variety, where the die used to strike the coin has a noticeable duplication in the design elements, especially on the obverse side where you might see doubling in areas like Liberty, the date, 1987, and the motto, In God We Trust. And although doubled dies are not extremely common in this year, the few that have been verified command serious premiums, with dramatic examples instantly attracting attention from registry set builders and era collectors alike. And when one of these doubled die coins is found in red, uncirculated condition with minimal contact marks and strong strike definition, it becomes a serious contender for 4 and even 5-figure sales depending on overall grade and rarity. And then there's the class of off-metal errors, an elusive and fascinating mistake where a coin is struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, and in the case of the 1987 penny, there have been verified instances of cents struck on dime planchets, foreign coin planchets, or transitional blanks from prior years, all of which lead to lightweight, undersized, or unusually colored coins that stand out from the crowd and immediately signal to an experienced eye that something extraordinary has happened. And if a coin like that is authenticated, especially if it includes a full visible date and mint mark, its rarity skyrockets, often leading to auction prices in the many thousands of dollars. But striking errors aren't the only factor contributing to the immense value of certain 1987 cents. Because striking anomalies such as extreme off-center strikes, where a portion of the design is missing due to misalignment, can result in coins that are highly dramatic in appearance and prized for their uniqueness, particularly when the date and mint mark are still fully visible on the flan. And then you've got broad strikes, die caps, indent errors, and even bonded planchets, types of errors that result when mechanical issues at the mint cause overlapping strikes or coins sticking together during production, all of which are highly desirable when found in mint state, and even more so when paired with rare features like full luster, red surfaces, or unbroken rims. And another angle that adds value is the condition rarity of these coins, because the majority of 1987 cents were struck on copper-plated zinc planchets, which are well known for their susceptibility to corrosion, pitting, and unsightly spotting over time, making it extremely difficult to find examples that have survived the decades in pristine condition. And as such, when a 1987 penny is graded by PCGS or NGC at MS68RD or higher, it becomes an instant standout due to its exceptional preservation, especially when combined with a high eye appeal that includes a sharp strike, vibrant red color, and minimal marks. And with so few of these top-grade coins known to exist, competition from registry set collectors can drive up the value into the $10,000 to $15,000 range or even higher in particularly dramatic or unique cases. And it's important to note that this doesn't mean every 1987 penny is secretly worth a fortune, because most are common and worth only face value, but the story here is about potential, the potential for overlooked treasure in a sea of ordinary coins, the possibility that one coin in your collection or pocket change might possess that rare combination of error, condition, and rarity that transforms it into a 5-figure prize. And what makes the hobby of coin collecting so rewarding is the fact that these discoveries are still being made today, not just by experts but by ordinary people who take the time to look closely, study the details, learn the diagnostic markers of famous errors, and stay vigilant for anomalies that others might ignore. And that's why the 1987 penny, like the 1974 D and 1986 cents before it, continues to capture the imagination of collectors everywhere, serving as a reminder that even in a world of automation and mass production, mistakes happen. And those mistakes can be worth a small fortune, especially when they occur in just the right way, on just the right coin, and survive in just the right condition. So whether you're hunting rolls from the bank, sifting through inherited coin jars, or simply paying closer attention to the pennies in your pocket, don't overlook the 1987 D Lincoln cent. Because if you're lucky enough to find one with a dramatic doubled die, an off-metal strike, a striking error, or a top-tier condition grade, you could be staring at a $15,000 treasure hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to notice it and recognize its value. And as always, the thrill of the hunt is what keeps the hobby alive, keeps us searching, keeps us learning, and keeps stories like this alive. Because with every new discovery, with every verified rarity, and with every unexpected gem found by someone just like you, the legend of the Lincoln cent grows stronger, the passion of collectors grows deeper, and the promise of the next big find becomes all the more real. So stay curious, keep checking your change, and never underestimate the next penny you pick up. It just might be the one that changes everything. And as we continue this deep dive into the most unexpected and incredibly valuable Lincoln cents that have stunned collectors and investors alike, we now turn back the clock to a classic piece of mid-century U.S. coinage, the legendary 1961 D Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that, under a unique combination of ultra-rare era features, exceptional preservation, and collector demand, has reached a staggering value of up to $55,000 in the numismatic market, making it one of the most astonishing finds in the Lincoln cent series and an absolute dream discovery for any collector lucky enough to stumble upon it. And what makes the 1961 D penny such a spectacular standout isn't just its age or nostalgic charm, but rather the extraordinary and nearly impossible to replicate circumstances under which its most valuable specimens were created. Because while the Denver Mint produced over 1.7 billion of these coins, making it a common date in terms of sheer numbers, the reality is that among this ocean of circulation coins exists a minuscule number of extremely rare and dramatic mint errors, combined with elite-level condition grades, that have taken this modest-looking coin and placed it in the upper echelon of numismatic treasures. And it all starts with the most notorious and value-driving error known to exist on the 1961 D penny, the infamous doubled die obverse. A dramatic misalignment during the die hubbing process that results in noticeable doubling of major design elements such as the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and even the date, 1961, itself. And while minor cases of doubling can be found on many coins, what makes the 1961 D doubled die so desirable is the clarity and strength of the doubling in verified examples, which make it instantly recognizable under magnification and highly coveted by specialists. And when this dramatic error is paired with a full red mint state surface and minimal contact marks, conditions that are extremely rare for coins of this vintage, it becomes the perfect storm of rarity, desirability, and value, with auction records showing high-grade double-die 1961 D cents reaching into the tens of thousands, and one legendary example, graded MS67RD by PCGS and showing powerful doubling on key features, reportedly sold for around $55,000. A mind-blowing figure for a coin most people would consider face value pocket change, but that's just one piece of the puzzle, because the 1961 D penny is also known for several additional high-value error types, including off-center strikes where the coin is struck dramatically away from the center of the planchet, especially rare when the date and mintmark remain fully visible, broad strikes that result from the absence of the retaining collar during minting, resulting in a widened and warped appearance, and die caps or brockage that occur when a previously struck coin sticks to the die and impresses its reverse or obverse into the next blank, creating a ghostly, distorted mirror image that collectors go absolutely wild for. And any of these errors, when found on a 1961 D penny, can easily push values into the thousands or even tens of thousands, especially when the coin is well preserved and professionally authenticated by a major grading service. And then there's the element of copper composition, which plays a critical role in the coin's value as well. Because unlike modern zinc cents, the 1961 penny was struck in 95% copper, a more stable and heavier composition. That tends to wear better over time. But even so, it's important to realize that finding a 1961 cent in flawless red condition is incredibly difficult, due to decades of circulation, exposure, improper storage, and the natural tendency for copper coins to tone, dull, or spot over time, and that's why top-graded examples in MS66RD or higher are exceptionally rare. With very few surviving at those levels, and even fewer coupled with a major error or variety, and when you combine these factors, dramatic die variety, stunning preservation, and market demand, the result is a coin that commands serious attention from both registry set collectors and error variety specialists alike. And what adds another fascinating layer to this coin's story is how underappreciated it once was, because for many years, the 1961 was considered a relatively mundane date, often skipped over in favor of earlier wheat cents or later modern rarities. But as more collectors began focusing on die varieties and condition rarities, the coin's full potential began to emerge, leading to increased scrutiny of bank rolls, estate collections, and forgotten stashes of copper-era cents, and over time, a handful of elite coins were discovered, authenticated, and auctioned, sending shockwaves through the hobby and fueling a renewed interest in early 60s Lincoln Memorial cents. And what's most thrilling for today's collectors is that these discoveries are far from over, because while many of the highest grade examples may already be slabbed and accounted for, there's still the exciting possibility that a few more high-grade double die or major-era 1961 cents remain hidden in plain sight, in old coin albums, tucked away in rolls, sitting untouched in dresser drawers or attic boxes waiting for the right eyes and knowledge to recognize their true value. And the beauty of coin collecting is that it rewards the patient, the observant, and the informed, and with tools like digital microscopes, population reports, and online grading resources more available than ever, the modern collector is empowered like never before to find these hidden treasures and potentially turn a common-looking coin into a five-figure payday. So whether you're just getting started or you've been collecting for decades, let the story of the 1961 Lincoln cent be a powerful reminder that value doesn't always shout. It often whispers in the tiniest details, the faintest doubling, the clearest fields, and the quiet glow of red copper brilliance. And in a world where billions of coins pass through hands unnoticed every day, the true gems are those that tell a deeper story, of history, of error, of preservation, and of discovery. And with every coin you examine, every roll you search, and every magnified detail you study, you could be one step closer to finding the next legendary penny worth $55,000 or more. Because the Lincoln Cent series is not just about collecting, it's about uncovering the incredible within the ordinary, and there may be no better example of that than the 1961 1 cent piece, quietly waiting to shock the world once again.